Welcome, everybody. This is the Coach's Corner. We invite coaches whenever they can make it from around the world. This time, we only have Australia and North America. Fabian, tell us where you're from and give us a little self-introduction. We haven't met you before. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm from Colombia. I'm Fabian. I'm currently serve as the Regional Manager of Operational Excellence for Mercado Libre Fulfillment Center across Latin America. And I have the opportunity to lead teams from Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and Mexico. I often like to describe myself as system architect because I believe that in the fast-paced world of logistic technology like AI is only as strong as the human leadership behind that. However, as you know, my perspective also about system and efficiency has changed profoundly a few months ago because I became a father of my son Emilio. So he is becoming my ultimate day zero project, and being in this new role as a father taught me that leadership is not just about managing a PML, but it is about building a legacy through our daily habits. So I'm here because I realized that leader identity, what in Harada method we call it step trip, is the real engine. It is what prevents a system from breaking under pressure, whether that it is in a fulfillment center or in at home. I want to be as intentional about being the architect in my company, but also being the father practicing for Emilio.
Nice. What a great introduction. Thank you, Fabian. Fabian covers Latin America. So, and he's a new father. This is great. How is the first few months, Fabian?
I think that my routine and the way that I sleep have changed forever. But I feel also that being a father is like having a extra battery in your life, because you feel more fulfilled, and you see that a person is built, or they or he is going to become a great man if I coach as well, and if I been an example for him. So and studying as well how to be a better father. I just starting.
Yes, yes, you are. Nobody could give you advice that'll make sense right now. You have to live it. That's kind of like life in general. Okay, let's get started with the coach's corner. If you guys want to answer the question, just uh, butt in and start talking. Okay. First question for anybody in the group: how do you help professionals shift from outcome-only goals, SMART goals, as Breton called them, to like revenue, production, whatever it is, to identity based goals that guide daily leadership behavior? Because this is right up our alley. This is what we want. I was talking about an indicator that we need desperately in the world called the Key Behavior Index. The behaviors count more than the SMART goal. So, anybody want to feel that? How does somebody go from outcome only goals to behavior based goals?
One thought, George, is that the leaders have those identity or behavior goals themselves, for themselves, and that they are shared and open and everyone knows what their own goals are. So leading by example, and then people then can see how it's done and follow the lead.
That's a great answer. Any other comments?
Reflecting back on what we were talking about earlier, George, about when I have coachees when they say, "I've never thought about it like that before," and I think that's, for me, that's when you know you've kind of got that bridge to an understanding. And sometimes I start with gratitude. And it's interesting, Fabian's here. At least 2 or 3 of the students or coachees are actually Colombia here in Australia, and there's quite a number of young engineers that find their way to Australia, and so for them, when I'm talking to them about being grateful, it's the light's gone straight away, because they've actually come to Australia to start a new life, and so that whole thinking about the rules, the entree point for me there is the gratitude, and then that opens up a window of conversation. Then we start talking about the other rules, so to speak. So that's my entree point typically, and the outside is when they come back, and if they say, "I've never thought of it like that before," and I think that's for me the outcome. The other thing, which I think Vance talked about earlier, is picking those small steps to take them closer to that in behaviour, and picking up on those small step improvements, which also speak to those rules in terms of your behaviour. At the end of the day, I think Kyle's mentioned, you're the role model. And I say this quite often, the people you're working with, who you're leading, every step you take, every move you make, every word you say, they're watching. And that's it's so true. I mean, they're a role model, and the people around them, they're watching everything that they do and say.
Yeah, that's funny. First of all, you got the song going through my head, and secondly, you could talk till your eyes and face are blue, but it's your one action that makes the difference. Okay, here's another question for the group. When a manager is uncomfortable writing a goal as if it's already achieved, how do you help them work through that resistance, other than saying the obvious, fake it till you make it, right? That's what we're used to saying, fake it till you make it. But how do you help them work through that internal resistance they have? Maybe they're scared, and I got a comment after whoever wants to introduce themselves here.
Yeah, no. When you ask that question, I think in this quote that fake it until you make it. I explained that it is not about that. It is about like mental programming, just like high performance athletes. When you write in your brain that I'm a leader who master AI to optimize operational costs, that enable like a permission in your brain to start seeking solution at that level. That, for example, I'm going to do a course in Stanford in June this year, and I start thinking that I have already do that course, and that I'm teaching how to scale with AI operations. And I repeat that every day, like a hypnosis. So I often tell them that if you wait the title to act like a leader you want to be, you will never have that moment. So just start doing today, because there is no perfect moment to start. The perfect is now.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
I was just going to,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up off of what Fabian just said about it's about programming. You want to program yourself to believe that you want to treat your goal as if it was a fact that it's already been accomplished. And then once you've treated it like it's a fact, as you go through the process, it feels more real to you, at a subconscious level, if you treat it as it's already a fact, because you're programming yourself, because even if it's not something that's already happened, you believe that it's going to happen because you also believe that it's already done based on the messages that you're telling yourself.
Right. And for those who are overly confident, you know it's going to happen. You deserve it. You're starting to give yourself permission. There's one thing I learned about myself in the past, which was I don't have a fear of failure, because I used to fail all the time at whatever I tried. I had a fear of success. So it's also giving yourself permission to be successful. So do it and get over that hump, whatever the resistance may be.
Another way to look at it too is I feel like I'm tapping into my own experience on this one, where maybe I would have resisted it, but if it could be from the teacher to the student, thinking about how can you make this relate to that individual. So whether it's a professional in a certain industry or a tech company that they might be like working from the customer backwards, or from some other tangible thing in their own kind of world that can make this make sense for them. So if, for example, it's going from the customer backwards on what product should we build, same kind of way, if you said, okay, what's that future state that you want to be able to say, this is what we've achieved, now work backwards from that. It's not like you're trying to fool my brain and believing that I can do it. It's more of a just making it logical that I would make this plan from where's my desired end state, perhaps, right?
Yeah, very good. Okay, next question. Let's go to this one. I like this one. It's from your experience now, you guys think about yourselves. What role does gratitude play in professional goal setting, and how have you seen it impact or encourage or work its miracles within a team? So any examples, like how do you build that gratitude in?
My perspective, it's come up yesterday with a student or coachee. Just the numbers. I mean, this is a young fellow who's come out of a manufacturing environment, now is working in an office environment, now in a management role, and really saying, just living where you are, the chances of you being here in this organisation, there'd be people in the world who'd give their right arm to actually be working in this organisation where you've got the opportunity to expand and excel and be the best you can be. And the role you have presents opportunities for you to expand in whichever way you want to go. And start getting them thinking bigger picture, I think, is really the start for me. And again, I get the response, I have never thought of it like that before. You're right. I mean, I've got everything. I've got this role that people would love to have. I've got a family. I've got supportive people around. Yeah, you're right. I mean, and turn the TV on, watch the news. I mean, other places around the world are in chaos, and here you are in quiet Adelaide. Yeah, you're right. This is amazing what I've got. This is an opportunity for, I'd say, I think perhaps open their eyes to a bigger picture.
I compliment yours that for me, the word thanks is the most powerful word that I think in the world. And feeling gratitude enables also like a psychological safety for the team. For example, this week we are delivering some key projects, and we start the meeting like saying, I want to thank this person because they make a strong analysis and they collaborate with this person. So before we show to the steer code the report, we thanks to the people. So that enables like a different environment to the meeting. So I think if we do that as a daily habit for us, that will allow to give more psychological safety for the team. And I think that there is no like financial bonus that can pay that. So I use that word too much. Thank you for this. Thank you. I think if you put that word in your vocabulary, your life becomes very easier to navigate.
Yeah, great. That's awesome. And also be specific. When you say thank you for what? You don't want it to be just always you're saying thank you. No, thank you for doing the great work you did on this project, and I know you helped this person develop a skill. Be specific when you say thank you. So thank you very much, Fabian, for giving us that example, which really hit home. Okay, next question is, now you got this is very common. You got teachers, leaders, professionals who compare themselves to others. I used to do this as well, right? I used to compare myself or compare my progress to Jeff Liker, the author of The Toyota Way, because that's who I wanted to emulate. So I would always share that person's name. And how do you coach them through doing that? Because you don't want anybody comparing to someone else. So what are your tips? Anybody have tips on that?
There's a old saying that they say the comparison is the thief of joy. And so one of the things that I always tell people is to focus on your journey, because it's possible for you to be doing a good thing, but just because you're doing a good thing doesn't mean it's the right thing for you. So comparison, like it doesn't do us any good comparing ourselves to others, because just your journey is going to be unique. We're all individuals and are designed, we're uniquely designed with different skills, different talents. And so we're not going to take the same steps to accomplish the same thing necessarily all the time. There's different paths to get to the same goal. And so it's very important for us to focus on our journey, and the unique experiences that we're going to have to get us to where we are trying to go. And the other piece of that is that just because somebody else might have accomplished it in 2 weeks, but it might take you 4 weeks to accomplish the same thing. You still got to the same goal, but it might have taken you a little bit longer. So it's very important for us to just recognize that our paths are unique, and it's not always going to look the same for everyone.
And to play off of that as well, that every single individual in existence, this is the first time anyone has ever existed on the planet in the circumstances that they are in and the time that they are in. So no one should ever compare themselves to something that happened or before with someone else, with a completely different situation, a different time. And your superpower is your story. No one else will have the experiences that you had, from the perspectives, the heritage, every possible factor that's a variable. It's almost infinite. So really, everyone is an individual, and there's never been anyone ever like them, and there never will be.
Very good. I like that perspective, Kyle, and I'd use that line of thinking in terms of getting perspective in the person's, where they're at and where their pathway through life. I keep coming back. I've mentioned a couple of times. I think it also speaks again to self-reliance. I mean, I think that having a goal and achieving and creating that future for you, I think that's part of the life experience. I mean, I think that that's part of, and I feel for people who've had too much too early. And I think part of the joy of life is actually achieving small step and big step improvements in their work and their life. And being self-reliant, moving through life. I think that's part of the joy of life, I think. So I think Harada, self-reliance, 64, all that speaks to that line of thinking.
Nice. And let's not forget, challenge. That's how you grow somebody. You challenge them to get out of their comfort zone. You challenge them with something they haven't done before. So this is all part of growth. That's what we're really after, a growing organization and people growing at the same time. So what's one early mistake you made when coaching leaders on goal setting? Now, I've got one if you don't, but think about that on goal setting, and what did it teach you about clarity and alignment for yourself? So what's an early mistake you guys have made?
Well, I'll start off quickly. Not using the rules, George. I mean, for many years, my idea of the goal was the SMART goal. It's specific, measurable, relevant, blah blah blah. All that. That was the main tool. And my mistake is not having opened my thinking earlier to what we're talking about today, because I think it adds a new and a wonderful dimension that I'm glad that I'm using now.
Nice. Any others?
Something I know that we've had experienced in the past is when we review our goal after time has passed, and we are trying to interpret what did we mean by that goal. Like the variable or the metric or the measurable or whatever it was, you could have interpreted it to be something else. That if it was growth, or if it was profit, or if it was revenue, or if it was some other factor, after time's passed, sometimes it's hard to remember what we meant. So we try to get more clear, more detailed, in very specific, in a way that it doesn't have any jargon. It makes sure that anyone could walk in off the street and interpret what that goal means, and it doesn't change over time.
Wonderful.
Very good.
I think for me, I would say that it's important to have it. I think it's important to write it down, but I think it's important to write it down in a place where you can go back and actually reference it versus like having it written down and then it's kind of in a notebook where you never open that book up again to really look at the goal. Because I think that if you have it, like for me, I usually write goals on a card and then I have it like where my desk is in my house. I have it like a poster board that's like basically it's a vision board that has all my goals that I want to accomplish for the year. And so me being able to like visualize it on a regular basis and see it, it makes it more, even though the goal might be intangible, it makes it more tangible when you have it in a place that you can see it on a regular basis. It makes it feel real.
Yeah, nice. So I'll give you one example as well. It wasn't the one I was going to share, but look, when it comes to goals and making it visible, when you got a team, put it up on a banner. Here's the goal. Everybody signs it. You're walking by that when you go into your huddles and you're looking at the goal. It keeps you focused. Now, I'm sure Fabian has an example. You work in a big company, Fabian. Come on, tell me an example like that.
Yeah, I will say that sometimes we want to rush the goals, like I mentioned before, and just write down what we are going to do for the year, for the quarter. And one exercise that I have been doing 2 years ago was before writing the goal, write the intention. What are the intention? When I get that metric or that goal, what I or what my team will win. So I will say that the main mistake is just going too technical at the beginning and forgetting like that you have to build a right context for your team. I will say that building the context is crucial to get the engagement of the team and that they feel passionate about that we are writing or we are defining. I think that makes a difference in the last 2 years in my company.
Nice. Very good. So the right context is awesome. Also shared. Try to get everybody to help with building that goal. It'd be great if everybody was able to put a word in it so they can own a piece of it. Okay, last question for the day. Now, if a manager asked you how to know whether a leadership goal is done right, because we said this is how it's done right, here's the rules, what would you tell them to listen for? Or what would you share with that person? Like, how do you bring them to that point where a leadership goal is done right? Any advice?
I would say the verb that you use, because in Harada, something that I learned from you, George, was, and you correct that to me too many times, that I write that I will try to do that, and you say to me, no, Fabian, you are. So I start writing, I am by 2027. So I remember that. So I always, when I write a leadership goal, I write I am, and I repeat that to myself in front of the mirror.
Yeah, you know what? We never talked about it, but sayings are so important. And when you say something out loud, critical, it really hits home. So just like earlier with Dr. Vance, he says, I want to, and I'm thinking, no, this happened. You don't want to when it's happened, is I have. Or I am a thought leader. Not I want to be a thought leader, or, I will be, because that's current to future. No, it's the future working backwards. I have. And therefore, I expect nothing but greatness from you, Fabian. So I don't want to hear something like I want to. No, it happened already. right? So that's one little piece of advice for coaches. Any other advice?
My perspective, George, is if I kind of take two perspectives. One is it's a bit like climbing a hill, and once you get there, you can actually see some more, and then you can go to the next hill and you're a bit higher, and you can actually see more. I think there's something in there about you may well achieve that goal, but once you get there, you can actually see more, and you can actually see the next level. And that's one piece of thinking. The other piece of thinking is in a business context, to see the goal as once you've achieved it, but as part of the 64 OW64. Okay, now what's the next? What's the next coming down, like a pull system? So it's not as though you made it and then you can take your foot off the pedal, have a cigar, take it easy. It's actually just another step towards the furthering and expanding your company or yourself. Is probably how I would see that.
Yeah, very good. Student has to want to do it. That's what my minimum requirement. As long as the student wants to do it, you don't want to push them because then, there's a little bit of resistance, and it's not right. If they want to achieve the goal, if they've achieved the goal in their mind, nothing's going to get in the way of their practice. So one thing Vance and I talked about, maybe we should add this as another question, is how do you teach this? We talked about a target condition. I think, Vance, I shared that if you're throwing like an axe on a target, right? You're throwing an axe to a target. Hitting the target, that's the goal, hit the target. But there's a target condition, like your feet should be at a 45-degree angle. So your feet have to be stable in the same spot every time. It's a condition, a target condition. Just like Shohei Ohtani, we talked a little bit about the bat. He uses the bat from home plate. He spaces his feet exactly on both sides of the bat, and he does this every single time. That's a target condition Shohei Ohtani has. Vance, do you want to talk a little bit about what aha came from you when we were talking about that?
Just I think it goes back to just recognizing that some of the things that we discussed already earlier in the call. Just make the environment has to be right. The fact you have to have the right factors. It has to be the right timing. So there's all these different factors that come into play when it comes to looking or the pursuit of a goal. And just getting back to what I said earlier, your timing might not be the same as somebody else's timing when it comes to and again, that's kind of going back to what you're saying about the target conditions, where there are certain conditions and, again, environmental factors, could be personnel factors that all affect your ability and the timing in which a specific goal is going to be completed. So just very important for that to be something that we keep in mind.
Yeah. Okay, I think that wraps it up. So before you go to step 4, follow the rules for step 3, create the goal in simplistic terms, and then post the goal, have your students post the goal in the community under number 1. Vance will lead the way because he'll be the first one to do it this way. Okay, Vance, thank you so much. And team, any other comments?
All good, George. That's a good session.
Fabian, thank you for joining us today. See you next week, I hope.
Great.
Gentlemen.
Okay,
All the
bye-bye.
best.
Bye.
Bye bye.